Hey y'all, in this episode of Talk Your Shit podcast, we're going to talk about industry secrets to securing grants for your biz. This is very, very important. And who better to hear it from than the queen of securing grants herself? I'm joined today by my biz bestie, Michelle. Michelle, how are you today? Tell the people.
I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be here on your podcast today. I'm excited.
I'm excited that you joined me. She agreed, y'all. She agreed to deal with my shenanigans, and I'm elated. So, Michelle, tell us about your background. Where are you from? How'd you get where you are today?
Ooh, how many hours do you have? Okay.
Several for you.
So I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. So I'm a Southern girl, Creole girl through and through. And my background professionally is in public health, lots of research, lots of science and health sciences. And what really, I think the most pivotal thing that got me started on my journey into grant writing was really through research, which is not the most linear path, but, I always make a path of my own. So, one of the memories that pops up the most in my mind is Hurricane Katrina. So if a lot of people you'll probably talk to that lived through Hurricane Katrina, they think of their life as pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. Just a thing. So during Hurricane Katrina, my family lost almost everything that we ever owned. And immediately after Katrina, we moved to this really small town in Louisiana. I won't even put them out there with saying their name, but I was in high school. It was my freshman year of high school, girl. So what a year to have something like this happen to you.
What a year.
Yeah. So brand new. One thing being a new girl, then another thing being a new girl that has had something like this happen to you in your life. And I was in my first class. I was doing well, talking to some of the students, and then in the middle of the class, I guess the administration had came in from the school and they were like, oh, all the new students from New Orleans, we would like to see y'all. Can y'all step out of the classroom? So we're like, okay. So we step out of the classroom and they bring us into another classroom and they literally have us sitting in a semicircle. And then these folks walk in, and what I now know that they were researchers. They came in and started asking us questions about our experience in Hurricane Katrina. And honestly, that was one of my first introductions to research. And I didn't enjoy it at all. They didn't ask me if I wanted to be involved. None of that happened as far as I can remember. And so that really opened my eyes to research, and from that that brought me crazily into grant writing. So that's my story, how I got to where I am today. And yeah, I'm just New Orleans girl.
Girl, that's an interesting story. Wow. That's an interesting story how you got into that. So, okay, let's backtrack a bit. First and foremost, we got to tell the people why this episode is important. Okay, y'all. Y'all. Grants are super important. I did some research and the results were mind-blowing. So did y'all know, I'm sure you knew, but did y'all know that Black people are more than likely to bootstrap their businesses instead of apply for grants? We are more than likely to suffer, to struggle, to scrap for money than just apply for grants. And it's mind-blowing.
Painful.
But it also makes sense, though, because of how we've grown up, what our
You're just not exposed to it and you don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally. And so according to a report as well from the Federal Reserve in 2020, 80% of white business owners received at least a percentage of the funding they request from a bank, compared to the 67% Black people, Indigenous people of color. And so when they do receive this funding, it tends to be $30K less and comparable to white-owned businesses. And in turn of that, the cycle continues where Black-owned businesses feel like they shouldn't even apply for grants because they don't think they'll get it. 38% believe that they won't receive the funding, so they don't bother applying. And that's compared to 10% of white people. So Black people will literally just not apply.
Not apply. Count
Yeah.
themselves out. Yep.
Yeah. Stop. You block yourself from your blessings.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do that. And white people, we got to be like the white people, okay? Just apply for the funding. You never know. You literally never know. Exactly.
So you got to put the right structures in place to make to apply, and then you'll start receiving funding. And then the other side of it is that a lot of people, even there's two sides of the coin, right? Either you don't know about grants at all, and when you find out, you're like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
How did I not know about this? Or the other side of the coin is I know about grants, I try to apply, and I can't get any because I'm not doing it correctly.
So walk us through, baby. Give us some tea.
So I started my story telling you about the experience with research. And so to me, grant writing, evaluation, and research are so intertwined. And a lot of people don't know that or like think of those things in the same group. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you are applying for grants, one of the first questions they're going to ask you is about your story. And if you don't have the storytelling together, then how are you supposed to tell who you are, your impact, who you want to help in the community, and the changes that you want to make in this world, right? And I think that piece, the evaluation and research, comes before you ever even start looking at a grant, right? And so honestly, that's the secret sauce to me is like having those learning structures in place before the first time you write about your organization should not be for a grant. You have to have your story together, what you do, who you impact, and the changes that you're making in the world before you even go to write a grant. The grant comes after. Writing the grant comes after, once you have your story together,
Yeah, storytelling is really important too with connecting with your audience and getting clients, because people buy from people. They don't just buy with somebody just because you got, pretty branding or pretty face. Those help, but that's not the main reason why people buy from you, right? And so being able to tell your story and tell it well gets people in the door, and that also, attracts money. Yeah. It attracts grants, attracts people who want to invest in you, and invest in your business, and invest in your success, invest in your mission. And so that's
really for for-profit businesses and not-profit businesses, no matter who you are, right?
Exactly. So what about the industry blew your mind the first time you found out?
I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. The fact that people literally don't know about grants, or they think that that's like, oh, that's for them, I could never apply for one. Like, no, you can apply for one. Not only can you apply for one, if you can think it in your mind, there's probably a grant for that. I can almost guarantee you, if it's legal, you could probably find a grant for that, So that was the first thing that blew my mind, I think. And when I started dibbling and dabbling in the grant world. And then the second thing was what we already touched on too, is how important evaluation is when it comes to grant writing, because you have to know your story on the front end. We talked about that. Then even on the back end, guess what? After you write that grant, whoever gave you a grant, if you get it, they want to know what you're doing with the money and where the money is going to. So you need to have those evaluation structures in place so that you can collect data. I know people don't like to hear the word data, but we can talk about that more in a little while. But you need to be able to have systems in place to collect data so that you can tell the story of what you're doing with that money to the funder, to the community you serve, your staff, all your stakeholders, right? So the two are connected. I think that's something that I discovered early on that really benefited me. Yeah, so those were the two things. Definitely the evaluation component, but also like the amounts of opportunities there. And I guess to even piggyback off of that a little bit, like it doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit or for-profit, an individual, a family, even families can apply for grants. There's opportunities out there for individuals too. So there's a lot of money out there.
There's so much money out there. That is crazy. I didn't even realize there were grants for families too.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let me get some free money. So, okay. So you talked about the importance of storytelling, right? So your mission for your business is that you want to, help clients tell the story, tell it to where it impacts, the person who they're trying to get money from meaningfully, but also it impacts, their community. And so tell me about a time where you made a meaningful impact, and whether that's in your biz or that's every day, day to day, and how that shapes, who you are now.
When I was in graduate school, before I like got in fully into my profession, I was doing like volunteer work and like internships and stuff like that. And I was running across a lot of nonprofit organizations, and they were doing such amazing work, right? And but no one knew about it. And they were doing like what I thought was miraculous stuff with the smallest amount of resources. And so I was in public health school. So I was learning about, like I said, evaluation, project management, that storytelling component, all of these theories about behavior change and stuff like that. So I would literally take my background in public health, the theories that I was learning, and I would be like, hey, have you heard about grants or have you heard about evaluation? Like, tell me about what y'all do in the day to day. And they would tell me, and I was like, man, like, what if you wrote it like this? And I would just like draft it, and they're like, oh my God. Or like, like, let me write you a 1-pager of like what I'm seeing y'all do. And then I would write it for them, and then they would look at it and be like, oh my God, yeah, like this is what we do. This is amazing. I never thought to put it on paper. And then from there, they just started like using that to go apply for grants and stuff. And then they would be getting funded, or like they would use that story to like post things on social media, or, help with their communications through email and stuff. And it was really making a change for them. And I was like, well, I might be onto something here. Because normally we're taught, right, because we're taught that normally in my background, I was taught that evaluation and fundraising are not necessarily in the same sentence. But to me, I'm like, why not? Like, you can't divide the two, to me. And when you talk about evaluation, it has to be done in an equitable, empathy-focused way, which is something a lot of people also don't talk about. When they think about evaluation, people think about extractive practices, monitoring people and watching over them and being picky. And that's not how I imagine evaluation. I imagine it as learning. Like a way to learn about someone or about their impact and to improve programs in the future. And so like I was noticing that my line of thinking about these things was so different. And I just started having conversations with nonprofit leaders, the people that were in my circle that I was working with in my graduate school program. And I really started to see changes for them. And that kind of like piqued my interest in moving in this direction to do this as a full-time business.
Wow. You out here changing lives. I'm so proud.
Oh, thank you, girl. Yeah.
So what's your process of applying for grants too? So I'm sure you've gotten a hell of grants. You over here teaching other people, how to get money, how to get grants and fund their business and make an impact. So I know you applied for some grants.
Yeah. So my process when I'm helping people apply for grants, I start with storytelling first. Mm-hmm. So I work with people one-on-one, helping them get that story out on paper and helping them find opportunities that are most mission aligned. And then I put like lots of structures in place for them to get the grant. And then I help them create evaluation systems to keep their money coming in. So it's like a framework that I follow, a process.
Girl, I might have to, slide your demons after this.
More than happy to help.
So you have talked about, all of these, your story, your background, how you got into it. So I know you have experienced challenges along the way, especially as a Black woman. And so what type of challenges have you faced? Whether that's, people being like, I don't know if I trust you, just because based off, the fact that you're Black, okay, because people are more critical of Black women than they are literally anyone. And so tell me about that.
Faced any challenges inside of my business besides one is that I want to help more people, right? And so I felt like there were a lot of people that were coming to me for support, but I wasn't always able to do my program with them one-on-one. And so right now I'm in a process of kind of rectifying, mitigating one of those challenges that I'm facing, which is helping more people by in a couple of months, I'm creating a program where a lot of people will be able to be served, not just me doing this one-on-one work with my framework. So that's one challenge inside of my business, me really wanting to help more people. And I can't all the time because I don't always have the capacity. But before I started my business, I mean, you name it, I've had racism in the workplace, being tokenized. I've worked in places where I literally made millions of dollars for an organization in my job, and I was paid the least and was treated like I was disposable. I've been in situations where people are very rigid about evaluation or go about trying to get data from people in those harmful ways that I talked about before. I mean, trying to raise the flag and say, hey, let's not do it this way. And it's not always been heard. Those type of challenges. And so I know that when I face walls or glass ceilings, like I got my hammer and my ladder ready, right?
Period.
Ready to break the ceiling. And I got my ladder ready to get over whatever wall that I'm faced with. And so really me creating Granted Advisors is my hammer and my ladder, tools that I put together and is making differences in the way that I see fit. So like some of those situations that I've been through, challenging, yes, but I wouldn't be here today if I didn't go through that. I wouldn't be able to help people in the way that I help them now without being faced with that adversity and saying, we can do a lot better. So I will do better. Yeah.
Black people are immaculate. Okay. We are phenomenal. Never the same. We are unique. Okay. Because the challenges that we have faced in the workplace, if you look at today, you can see the huge movement of Black people leaving the workforce and starting their own business because of the fact that they're tired. We're tired. We're tired of being treated like a token. We're tired of being treated like nothing. We're tired. And so because you're going to treat us bad, we're going to go off. We're going to start our own businesses, make our own money, and change the world. And that part. Who could ever? No one. They could never. And that's why we're leaving. I'm just so proud.
Thank you.
And it's you saying, I got my hammer and I got my ladder because I'm going to break this glass ceiling, and then I'm going to provide a space for others to do it as well.
Yes. And you know what? I'm happy that you said that, because the crux of what I do, I can come in all day long and like write a grant for you and submit it for you. And then tomorrow I could be gone, and then you left with what?
Right.
What? My process that I use in Granted Advisors is different. I teach you how to fish. I walk you step by step into how to tell the story of your impact your way. I just give you the framework, and you apply these things to yourself, and you make sure that your mission is in alignment. And then I help you find these prospects and help you create an evaluation system that works for you and your team. And then whenever you choose, when I'm gone, you have everything you need to go forth and do this on your own. My job is to work myself out of one, so that when I'm gone, you have the entire system you need to keep the engine running and to scale it.
Right. And not depending on you like a crackhead. Literally. And that is so good that you actually teach them, because I know the business, the corporate America can be very sleazy. Okay. They only give you a little bit so that you have to continue coming back to them and spending more money so that you're more miserable. Right. But you are literally giving them a framework. You are teaching them, you are helping them, get grants. And then when you leave, they still have that framework. They still have, the knowledge of like, okay, I can still continue to, apply for more grants, get more money, because she has actually taught me. I love that. And I try to do the same thing too, as well with styling. I'm not only going to, be up all up in your closet and be like, you should wear this and this and this, and let me just buy you a few things. You should wear this. Like, no, I'm going to teach you.
Right. I'm going to teach you. I can put together the perfect look myself and feel good and confident about it. Yeah, exactly.
Like, yes, it'll be good. You hooked onto me like a crackhead because, I'm getting more money, right? But that's not the point, right? Like, I want you to be able to do this to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be able to take that, you know, when you're out far in the world, somewhere in freaking, I don't know, a random continent,
right,
somewhere, and you know what you're doing, right? So I think that's really important. That's really good as well. Oh my gosh. So you know how you don't have to tell me the receipts, right? Because I need to know. Because I know I just know that you are dope. Okay, so I need to know, what is the most money that you have helped a client secure?
Oh, girl. Just off the top of my head, I've helped one client secure over $6 million. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm looking for the $6 million because I need it to come to me. $6 million?
Mm-hmm. I have one client, even right now, I haven't been working for them for a year. And last year they were working with a grant writing company and they didn't get any grants. And I've been working with them for, like I said, less than a year, and I've already bought in over $500,000 for them.
Period. Girl, keep feeding us the receipts. Come on. What's up? Talk your shit.
But yeah, but I mean, what I do works. That's all I'll say.
Magical works. Magical works. Who can never? I can only dream.
But you could, though. If I taught you, you could.
Look, she already plugging herself. She already selling herself to me on this podcast. That's crazy. I'm just saying. So because I'm just I am amazed. $6 million. I can't get that out of my head. Not everyone can do that. How? I just
like, it makes me feel so good to be able to do this work, because like my work is mostly with nonprofits and social entrepreneurs. So it's people that really are affirming their mission and they are really helping the community. So like that's what really keeps me going, is like the money, that's good and great, but I look at money as energy, right? Like the more capital, the more resources that folks have that are doing really good work and care about what they're doing, that I'm very selective about who I work with because of that. Like my mission is to help people that otherwise couldn't do it themselves, and people that really want to serve their communities. And so like I know that these dollars are going to really help the community, you know, and like that's why I do what I do, you know.
Yes, and the more access to capital that we have, the more that we can change the world, y'all. Because America's a hot mess. Okay, America's crackhead. Right? When I talked about the crackhead earlier, that's what America is. Okay, because it's just like, why does a society try so hard to break us down when y'all the reason we here in the first place?
Yeah, capitalism.
Like we all could be chilling in Africa, being free, you know, going to our beach houses. But nah, y'all wanted to be lazy because you couldn't clean your own backyard. So you have to come steal
Capitalism is an interesting construct. And let's leave it at
like, I'm not understanding, you know? It's really good because I love just seeing us excel. I love seeing us succeed. And that is a whole point of this podcast, because I need people to know about y'all. I need people to know what the type of work y'all doing so y'all can continue doing this work and continue changing like the construct, you know? And so I need to know, okay, what's your favorite part about your job? I know it's like, you know, it's probably more of, okay, I get to change this person's life, but what else is there? Because I know this is like it can be humbling, but I don't need you to be humble. Okay. I need you to be like, this is it.
Yeah. So I think there's two things. So number one, I love like working with the client and breaking things down for them. So like when we're talking about that storytelling component, like, they already know the story. I could never tell my client's story better than they could, but being able to give them the structure and the tools to tell their story in a way so that the different audiences that they hope to have an impact upon understand and really see what they're doing. And for me to like walk through that with them and then be like, okay, now here, like read it back to yourself. And they're like, I didn't know that I could tell the story like that. I didn't know that data looked like this. Cause like data isn't just numbers, right? Data is pictures, data is food, data is music, data is poetry, data is so many different things. And so when I'm able to like challenge those standards of like rigor and evaluation, or like implement like storytelling and stuff for my clients, on the evaluation side and on the grant writing side, and seeing their face light up when they see their story told in the way that is most authentic to them, that's everything to me. I love that part of my work so much. The second part that I love is, when I start working with my clients, one of the first things I tell them is that like grants is a long game. Like you're not going to apply to a grant today and get a grant tomorrow. That's not how this works. You can apply to a grant for today and you might not hear back for months. Okay. But you're going to get it. You just gotta like, follow these practices and get it going, and they'll start coming in. But when it starts coming in and you see the reaction, you're like, oh my God, I didn't know. Like, I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know that we could get money like this, or I didn't know that, that grant writing was like that. I think that's the second thing that really is like the best part of my job, like seeing those congratulations letters coming.
And especially just seeing the awe in their faces, like, wow, I didn't know this was accessible to me, because we don't know. People don't know that it's accessible to them. And I love that you are doing work like this. Like I literally have never heard of a grant. I don't know why, it just never crossed my mind. But a grant business, like someone who
I feel like, when you talk about like philanthropy, getting access to funding and things like that, I feel like sometimes there can be like an invisible wall, or like you have to be very connected to certain people in order to get access to funds and stuff like that. And, I've been working in this space for quite some time, and I don't really run into a lot of other grant writers or fundraisers that are Black. Very little female, very little Black. Put them both together, like there's not really a lot of us out there. So, I mean, it means a lot to me to be able to work with people that look like me, or serve people that look like me, and to be able to handle their mission with care, and their story with care, and to be able to help them like collect data with care with their community, who they serve at the center of it. So that means a lot to me. But, like I said, there's not a lot of people that look like me doing this work. I haven't met any.
Yeah. And look at you. We met you. You stepped into that role, and you are out here securing $6 million grants, because baby, not everybody can do that. Even your counterpart, even the counterparts can't even, they haven't secured that much. How long have you been doing this too?
Less than 10 years.
Less than 10 years.
Like I jumped into it. I finished my master's, and then I literally like started my professional career and my doctorate degree at the same time.
The bachelor's and you out here with the doctorates, like that.
I'm almost done with my doctorate. Oh. So not yet.
Dr. Michelle Bidwell.
This, and I am on the road to finishing very soon.
Ooh, were you invited to the graduation?
Yes, of course. Everyone gets an invite. I want everyone to attend. Because look, we gotta show up. High waters to get here, okay?
Okay, look, that's what I'm saying. That's it. Okay, I'll be there. I'm there. So yes. Wait, this has brought me back to how I first met you. Okay, y'all. But end of January, we attended this event called ROI. Best conference ever, by the way. And I will be attending for the rest of my life until God knows when he decides to take me. But, okay. And I, land in the airport, Puerto Rico, by the way. And I'm just, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to just mind my business.
Not today.
She said not today. I'm an introvert. And I'm gonna just I'm gonna just ease myself into this, right? So I'm just walking, and then boop, Michelle comes. Hey, hello, what's up? What's up? What's happening? You know? And she's like, you going to this? You go to this conference? I was like, yeah, girl. She's like, I bet. So we just, she just, you know, and then ever since then we were just hanging out inseparable. It's fine.
Inseparable.
And it was it was crazy because I seen her puff just chilling, you know, on the airport, and I'm like,
don't see it.
You can't miss it because baby, you gonna see this puff, and I'm just peeping at her, but I'm like, I'm gonna wait, you know. And here she comes, like, hey, so here we are.
Hey, are you a Schmilly? Yes.
Schmilly, fellow Schmilly. They gonna learn about the Schmillies. Okay?
They gonna learn.
They gonna take over. At that point, it was just kind of like asking everybody there at the airport, you a Schmilly? Like, there's not local people that live in Puerto Rico, because clearly there's not, you know, only Schmillies live there. It's fine. It was a great moment for me, honestly. It would actually help me, push me out of my comfort zone, because your girl's introvert and she really don't be talking to people. But just meeting her, from then on, we just kicked it off, and I learned more about this woman every day. Y'all, she is literally amazing. She is out here helping underrepresented people get grants, get funding, so that they can continue changing lives and, you know, starting a movement, right? And so,
you know, and it's thank you so much for saying that, but it's not even about me. It's about people going and doing their work. Like, you know, I kind of think of myself as like, I heard someone use this analogy, like as salt. Like, when I'm there, you don't notice me, but like everything's going good and you're able to like feed so many people and everyone loves the food and it's all great. But without salt, like, oh my God, you notice that it's gone, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you growing up financial wise?
I come from a middle class family. I feel like there was a lot. My parents worked really hard so that I can go to like private school and things like that. And I thought that was normal until I got older and realized that, you know, maybe it's not as normal. Like my parents come from a more impoverished lifestyle, and they worked really hard so that, you know, me and my sister could have different. And, you know, I can remember like my earliest years, we lived in a small house and my dad worked in the hospitality industry. And then I, from a child, watched my dad dibble and dabble in entrepreneurship. He had a trucking company, a moving company. And then, you know, when we were getting older, like being gone doing that wasn't as, you know, wasn't really something that fit with his lifestyle. And so he like started getting into real estate and buying houses. And I just watched him do that. And it's like whenever he ran into something, he just created something else. And like, and that really was kind of like the impetus for me to start my business, because like when I ran into something that didn't work for me, okay, I know what worked. Like, let me go and do that. Right. But like, you know, I grew up, I wasn't wealthy or anything, but I grew up, like, I think it was like a middle class family, but I grew up with a lot of love. I have a huge family, a close family, and their love and them exposing me to all facets of the community, whether it be people that were living impoverished. I really was able to grow a great compassion for people, and I knew that I wanted to help people. It was because of my grandparents. I am one of those people who spent so much time with my grandparents. Yes, my parents were definitely active in my life, but I love to spend time with my grandparents. And it wasn't until I was older that I learned that my grandfather was a sharecropper.
What?
This is how close.
Wow.
We are from that kind of life.
Yeah.
His father was probably a slave. You know what I'm saying? And to see me today doing the type of work that I do today, I do it almost in honor of them, because if they could see me now, they'd be amazed. And like, that just means so much to me to be able to live out their legacy for them and do it in a way that serves my community. So yeah, my grandfather had a 5th grade education and was a sharecropper. My grandmother had an 8th grade education.
And you out here getting your doctorates.
Yeah.
That is great. That is insane.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, huh?
Crazy stuff. And girl, it's the fact that you just brought me back, because every day I don't think about the fact that we are, literally 50 years away from segregation.
Yeah.
We're not even that far away from, like being slaves. And just the fact that he had, a fifth grade education, and you out here about to graduate with your doctorates, making six figures, you're getting the 6 figures, 7 figures, like it will be proud. That's insane. And we are literally our grandparents' dreams.
Wildest dreams. Yes.
Wildest dreams. Our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Yeah. I make sure to honor them every single day. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. My grandparents, and how, not poor, but they made a way for themselves, made a dollar out of 15 cents, but just imagine.
You know what? We think like it wasn't poor. Maybe it was poor, but we had so much love and community that it didn't matter. Like, you didn't need money because you know that you could go to your neighbor for whatever, or like, you didn't really need money for childcare because you knew that your aunt down the street had you on that. And, every Sunday you can go to your grandma's house and everybody pitches in and brings a meal. You know what I'm saying? Like that sense of community. And honestly, that's most of the work I do is trying to get us back to that life-changing social connectedness, life-changing social support,
There's so much competition now.
Resources. Yeah, what resources does a community need in order to get back to that quality of life, Yeah,
in order for us to succeed together. Because there's so much competition, so much people be behind your back, so many people trying to drag you down, and it's like, look, for real,
we have to be in community to get to where we want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And now that we never knew we were poor. I never knew that, they were struggling because my parents never told me. My grandparents, they don't tell you. They don't tell you.
They weren't. And maybe they weren't struggling.
Yeah, maybe
because they didn't have tangible money didn't mean that they were struggling, so to speak. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But like we had so much love and community. Mm-hmm. It was just a different life.
Mom said this. She didn't tell it to me, but she told it to someone else, and I just was in earshot. But I remember her saying that there was a point in her life when she had to go to the food bank in order to feed me. I never knew. She never made it known, made it obvious that we were struggling, that we were, needing food. She provided in ways that I didn't even know.
Yeah. And it, like one step further, if you think about like places like that, food banks and after school programs and, churches, all of these things that I don't know about you, but when I think about my childhood and the things that really made a difference to me in my community, that was it, right? Like, having places to go that we would be safe, being able to get an education and be in community with our elders. Those things make a difference. And a lot of those things are put in place by either social entrepreneurs sometimes or nonprofit organizations. And a lot of those folks do not know how to bring in the resources they need to keep them going. And that's why you see so many of them failing. And like, what happened to, Miss Mary such and such on the street? Well, she couldn't get any funding, so they closed down, Man, what a loss.
Yeah. You providing funding for them is them providing resources for people who need it.
Yes.
For people like my mom who needed it at some point. For people like us. Yes. And we are the main ones that are literally going to the food banks. Okay. We are the main ones that are struggling.
Mm-hmm. People that look like us.
Elevate it and, make money and provide for them is how we're going to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The crevices of. But it's so important. What'd you say? Saying like how important this is.
Yeah.
And truly impactful.
Thank
you. I need more people to see you to because we do need that funding. Like I said earlier, we don't know about funding, and so we don't apply for those grants, or we don't know how, and so we just never do it. We just would rather bootstrap. We would rather scrape change than
that literally give specifically to people that look like us,
Yeah.
It's the truth of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
There are
Google
people
it.
that have companies that literally put pots of money on the side to support Black female entrepreneurs or Black female enterprises, or, you know, organizations that, you know, like if you think down to the most nichiest niche, there's probably someone out there that wants to give exactly to that, you know? You just think finding that, getting access to that.
Tell us, because in order for us to secure these grants, we have to be able to tell our story, a genuine story, tell the truth. Y'all don't be out here lying, okay? Tell our real story. And so, what are 3 storytelling tips that you want to leave with the listeners in order for them to be able to secure these grants for their businesses?
Okay, 3 storytelling tips. Number 1, we talk about this all the time. Like, you are a one of one. Your organization is a one of one. Don't try to be something you're not. Tell your story as authentically as you can. Even the parts that you're not so proud about, like, just be open and honest about it and make that a part of your story, because it's important to tell those parts of your story, because it's how you got to where you are. Like, include that, you know. I think number 2, to like get that story out on paper first before you even start thinking about grant writing. Get that story out on paper. And stories don't always have to be words. Like we talked about data before, stories can be pictures. Stories can be poetry. Story can be food, a menu. A story can be songs that bring you back to a certain place in time. Creative. You don't have to tell your story in one set way, because some of these other forms can be an adjunct to your words and take your words to the next level, right? And then the last thing when it comes to grant writing is after you get that story down on paper, after you realize that you're a one-on-one, you can ask other people about your story too, not just yourself, to really get that story down in a way that you think it will come across to others. And then once you have that story down, then you can do your search for grants. You know, like go online, you can use Google, you can go, there's foundations. A lot of cities have community foundations that you can go to, talk to them about your grant needs, and it can help point you in the right direction. But when you have your story down first, and you think about evaluation on the front end, and evaluation, what I said about those learning structures of how you will collect data over time, it'll make your grant writing process so much easier, because number 1, you won't have mission creep. And mission creep is when you start writing grants and then you see something over here, something over there, and it doesn't really quite fit your organization. So when you write the grant, you start saying that you do stuff that you don't do. And then you might get that grant, and then guess what? You're going to have to do something that you don't want to do for your community. So when you have that story down first, and you will go look for grants that really align with what you're trying to do, so that you are truly going to be able to serve your community and be in alignment with the people that are going to be giving you the money, because that's truly what they want to be doing with the money too, right?
Yes.
And then on the back end, when you're centering that evaluation and having those different types of data coming in, when it's time to do your grant reporting, because guess what? At 6 months and a year after they give you that check, they want to know what you did with that money. Some of these these grant reports, which are kind of like evaluation reports, can be pages and pages long. They want you to like tell them what you were able to do. But that part will be a lot easier for you, because you already have those systems and structures in place if you focus on evaluation on the front end.
Wow. Y'all better take notes.
Take notes.
That is so good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling your knowledge, your story, telling us about the impact that you're making, because you are making an impact. You are doing phenomenal, and do not take that lightly.
Well, thank you. This was amazing. I love it. I love what you're doing, uplifting entrepreneurs so they can come on here and talk their
For sure. Yes. Well, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes. Well, you guys can find me really at my website, www.grantedadvisors.com, or you can find me at Granted Advisors on Instagram as well.
Yes, y'all. She just got an Instagram, so I'm going to need y'all.
Yeah,
Follow her and show her some love.
And look for more content coming soon. And if you are interested in learning more about grant writing, you can reach out to me, and you can get on my list so that you can be a part of the program that I'll be doing in a couple months.
Yes, I'm so excited. All this will be in the show notes, y'all. So don't be out here looking lost and confused. You don't understand. Just go to the notes, and you will find all you need. Oh, Michelle, thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, Damian. It was a pleasure. It was so much fun. Thanks.